Today we're going to paint some quick winter chickadee birds. We're going to be painting this expressive but still loose. If you've ever struggled with painting birds, then this I think is going to help you out. Today we are painting two winter chickadees and their names are Chick and Dee. So thank you to Sandy for suggesting the name. I'm going to show you how you can keep them still fairly loose but still be able to give it some expression. Try to go for the 2026 trend. And if you haven't had a chance to watch that video, my latest one goes into Skillshare's trends for 2026 in watercolor. So that one's really interesting. I will link it below for you. So I have this all sketched out. We're going to be painting two little chickadees. Now these have quite a bit of detail, but I'm going to try to bring the details down a little bit. I am using my Layton hot press paper, and I don't use hot press paper very often, but I thought this would be the perfect opportunity since it's got a little bit of details with the feather and the eye. I also am using my beautiful brush by Tracy Levinson. It is a medium Siberian elk brush in case you're curious as to which one, and they still have the coupon code. It's still good through the end of this month. He's re-upped it for us, and it's Kellie, Kelie 20, and you get 20% off of any of the brushes on there. And I'll leave all of the links in the description box below. I know a couple of you have asked about mini frames from last week, the little magnetic acrylic ones. Usually try to put all of the information in the description box. So if you're on your phone, mobile, sometimes you have to hit that little more button so you can see them down below. I have wet the paper and I am going in with my grape black to start. Now I have been playing around with these for a little bit, testing out some backgrounds, and this is my third painting and I've gotten larger with the birds in each one, and I thought let's just try a more smoky kind of background with this one. I was going to do some snow on it and I still might be doing that at a later time. But right now I'm just going to get the color in here where it's wet, just kind of going around the birds. Not too concerned. I don't mask them out or anything because I'm going to be putting some darker values on the top. And I've got my little cheat with my Dr. Myron's bleed proof white if I need to adjust. Now, when I am painting things more loose like this, I'll often cheat and do things quicker. And so this is one of my cheats, my quicker way of doing it. Now for the background, instead of masking fluid or bleed proof white, which is what we've been doing a lot in this past month, I just spritzed some water on there, dropped the water, and you can see it gives that nice bloom. You don't have to wait for salt to dry this way. And I'm also adding a little bit of greenery in the background, so it's like an illusion of a really soft pine needle back there. I'm going to try not to do too much, and as this is wet, you may have to kind of pop some more green back in. And if it's super wet, you might want to wait just a little bit so that you just don't get a blob. I do have some little bit of a definition on the top one, which I like. The bottom one, I don't have as much, but we're going to be putting some more details on the front down there. If you get it too loose, you can just throw some details on top of it. So I just added a little bit more water for spritz again to see that beautiful texture that gives. I think I've said this before. A lot of times I just leave my paints right in my tray, as you can see. So I do a lot of mixing. So they're not usually solid colors from my Rosa kit. There are pre-mixed things. So I use olive green, a little bit of green. I added a little bit of the black grape to it. Sometimes I'll add sienna or some browns or some ultramarine blues to my green. I'm always changing my greens up. So I'm going to now add just a little bit of color to the belly, and for the color I chose yellow ochre. You could also use raw sienna if you wanted to. Just a nice soft shade, so there's a lot of water with this one. There's not much for color. That's raw sienna. Now I'm popping in over just a little bit stronger color to the left. So I kind of bounce when I'm doing these steps. I want to keep it light to begin with because I can always get darker. And I think for watercolors, this is where we often will lose a lot of the white of the paper. And that's why I do my little cheats, my little demos. And honestly, I think I might do another chickadee where I've done chickadees in the past, very, very loose. I'll show you this one. That was absolutely one of my very favorites. And I loved it so much that I made a card out of it. I think one of the easiest chickadees, and no details in it really whatsoever, just a little bit of color. So you can do these in different ways. So I'm shaping up the head. Again, the top of it, I wasn't too worried about it because that's going to be black because it's a black cap chickadee. I say that 3 times fast. Black capped chickadee. There we go. And that's why I don't get too concerned about staying in lines. I can be very loose with it. I just play around and not have to worry so much. I'm going to add some of that great black in there for some feathers. And I end up with more details than I originally planned with this one, just because things didn't go quite the way I wanted it to. And I just felt like it needed a little bit more. Filling in now some of those darker areas where I know the deep colors are. I don't have a strong pigment. It looks a little strong, but when it dries, it's going to be a little bit lighter. And I do want to say, since this is more complicated than some of the other paintings that we've done, I mean, not so much, but it's not just a landscape. It's got to look like something a little bit more. If you are a patron and you have not yet joined, you do get the sketch over there, plus a bonus section where we go into more details at the end. A Patreon membership also makes for a thoughtful gift for anyone who loves watercolor. Access to the full-length tutorials, the bonuses, the paint-alongs, behind-the-scenes stuff that I don't share anywhere else. Consider joining us over there. It's a great community. I'll have the link down below for you. And I just want to give a big shout out to 15 brand new members that just joined last week. So welcome and thank you so much for your support. But if you ever feel like you are, you missed a spot or you're not quite sure, I always say with things like this, watch it the first time through all the way and see how I'm doing things. And then you can bring your paints out in your water once you know kind of what the steps are, and then paint along with me on the second go around. And I think that is very helpful. Put in the darker areas on both of the birds. By the way, this is now called, one bird on the left is called Chick, and this is D I'm painting, Chick and D. And I want to thank my folks on my Facebook channel. They came up with it. I put the picture up there and I said, give me a name, give me some ideas. And that was one of the ones that they came up with. And I have to give a shout out to Sandy, who is the one that came up with that. I thought it was a great little name. I am using the black grape once again. You can see it's nice and wet, and I'm just looking at where those darker values are going to be. Now remember, this is going to dry a little bit lighter, but I do have it kind of a mid-tone, watered down. So when I say that, it's not quite, I like how Ellen says it, coffee with cream, because it's a little bit thicker than you have cream. I never used that before, but I loved it. I don't know if she came up with that or if that was somebody else, but whoever said it was genius, because I always use like toothpaste, house paint. I guess whatever works, right? But the water, coffee, tea, cream thing does work quite nicely when you're talking about how much water you're putting in with your pigments. So you can see it's, I went back over it again just to see if I could get it a little bit darker. And I'm just adding a few brush strokes in here to look like feathers. Not a lot of details, just a couple of marks, and I'm trying to follow the direction that the little wing would be. I am going to come underneath the eye with that dark. Most of the pictures I've seen on chickadees, it goes right underneath, and then that little white stripe comes from the front to the back. So I'm analyzing it here. Again, I end up going a lot more detailed than I originally anticipated. I'm just kind of popping in where the little feet are going to be, and I'm trying to picture how their little nails would just like wrap around, so you really wouldn't see much of that. And I should have painted the branch first. So when you go to do this, paint your branch and then put the feet in. Sometimes I just don't think when I'm in the middle of stuff, and that's why when I do tutorials like classes on my website, they're a little bit different. These are just me kind of painting and sharing my thought process with you all. With courses, I go into a little bit more depth. We do some practice pieces. Usually go through all of the colors. So there's a little bit more entailed with that. But I will say, when I do a video, I know it's only like, 30 minutes long on here or sometimes less, but it takes about 4 to 6 hours to do everything from the painting to the editing and, the YouTube shorts and the downloading and putting in all of the tags and all that good stuff. So there is a lot that goes behind the scenes that you don't see. So I've decided to pull out my white bleed-proof Dr. Martens. Now, this is my cheat. This is when I get lazy. I don't leave the white of the paper, or I just like to use it to help me blend and get that nice little feathery look up into where I have the black. Instead of me having to paint all around that so delicately, this is just a really easy way for me to do it. And I can clean things up. I'm going to dot around the eyes a little bit. And I'm using that very tip of that brush, so you don't want to put a lot of pressure down, otherwise those little circles will get much bigger. But this is just an easy way I could throw feathers back in here. It's doing a little soft blend, maybe where it's not completely dry. Where it is dry, I get some nice sharp detail. So I'm in easy feathers. Again, instead of having to paint around everything, I could just pop it right in there. And you also want to take notice of the direction of those feathers. I've got them sweeping upright on those little cheeks that they have. So you want to keep that in mind. You don't want to just angle those brush strokes down. You want to kind of flip them up so they have like a little smile at the end. I've got some yellow ochre again. I'm just going to go in between those little tootsies a little bit. I might have to doctor those up because as I said before, paint the tree branch in before you paint the feet. And then while that's still wet, you can see I'm just going to drop in some umber right along, or this actually might be some of the black. I just want a really dark color, and it's going to mix in anyway with the yellow ochre that's already in there. And then just filling in the eyes and the center. Now you can leave a little white space in there if you want to, but I'm just going to use some gouache again to pop it in. And notice I left a little white ring around there, so that's you're not going to fill in the whole area black. And then just touching very carefully on the beak for a little definition. Don't need much. And I'm going to go play around with the feathers a little bit more. So you can see how they lightened before. So I'm going to go in just with a couple little darker areas. And we're going to watch to see how this dries. Getting the little legs in there, darkening those little toes. And they actually have, I think it's 3 on the front, and the other one kind of wraps around the back so you don't really see it. And if you don't want to paint feet at all, my little trick is you just cover that branch with some gouache and snow. It covers it right up because little feet, they're not the easiest thing to do. So I have a little gray in here, again, just putting some shadows in that white. And I'm just wetting this down again, just softening everything. If you find that you get your lines in there and they're just too stark or too bright, just go with some water and soften everything up, and it blends it nicely. Just make sure you keep the light as best as you can. You don't want to cover everything up. But if you do, pop in some white, like I'm doing here. Again, it softens everything up, blends it. It will give you that opaque look, but I'm going to throw gouache on the top of this for snow. I think at the end, that's my plan. So I don't even worry about it. And then a couple little stragglers with those little feathers. You know how they stick up everywhere. It's not going to be solid. You're going to have a couple little strays here and there, kind of like our own hair, huh? At least mine. You guys know I always have my hair up, or I have a hat on. I have very fine hair, and it actually gets very curly and very tangled really easy. Yeah, who knew, huh? So again, if you find that you get things too dark, or you want to redo the feet, just add a little gouache on top. Or for this one, I'm using a little bit softer because that bright white is just too white. This is the Chinese white that is in here, and it will soften and not be quite as stark white as the Dr. Martens Bleed Proof White. And then a little darker on the underneath of that beak. I'm trying to leave the light on the top, so I just filled in near the bottom. Again, using that same grape black that I've been using almost the whole time. So I did dry the bodies of the bird before I went back in with that black. So now we're going to add a little bit more sharper, cleaner, darker details. And with watercolor, think about the last little bit of details is going to be your darkest color or your darkest pigment or tone. So I think I'm gonna just kind of wait and see what we get from that. We'll let it dry. Meanwhile, I'm going to use some olive green. Make sure I've got the right color here. Yeah, olive green, number 713, I believe, for my Rosa kit. I'm gonna mix up some of that, and then I just kind of branch down here. Again, really squiggly, and this is what this brush is great for because it gives you the nice tiny little sharp lines. It's so easy to work. It's just a flicking motion that I'm doing with my hand. And now I'm going to add a little bit of the darker green, number 711. And you can see that I just go right over it while it's wet. If it goes up into the bird, that's okay. It's going to go up over it. And it's dark enough where it will cover anything. I am using just the very tip of that brush. So just barely touching the paper. If you push too hard, you're going to get a really thick, wide line. So you want those nice little skinny lines. So just the very tip. Well, so you can see the one that's in the background now, it's dry just lightly. So it's just like an illusion back there. It gives the painting some depth. And again, I'm going to put in the light and the dark up over it. So remember how I said in the beginning, if you get those little, you can barely see the one down here on the bottom, but if you get those in there and they're just a little bit too light or they've, blended too much, you can put the details or sharp details right over it and you barely even notice it back there, but you can see something in the distance. Adding a little black to it. Again, it might be a little shadow from the bird. And just a little bit darker underneath, and those feet still dried pretty light, so just tapping in a little bit more color on those. Sharpening that beak, the definition on the underneath. So you'll notice I kind of pop back and forth, and that gives you a little bit of time to decide if you're done or not. So I'm just gonna put a little dot in the eye on the upper area, not smack in the middle, because the highlight's going to come from the top usually, and that will also give you the direction the bird is looking. So if you don't like it, put the black on and dry it and try it again. And a lot of times I'll bounce around my painting that way. You'll notice I did start with a background, then I went to the bird. So it's in layers of what you would see, like what's the furthest back, what's the next thing in front of that, and then the very final details are going to be the crispest, and those are going to be up front. And that's how I paint it. Some people will like start the bird and do all the definition of the bird, start with the eyeball, and then it's too flat looking, I think, is the best way to describe it. This gives you more depth when you do it this way. So before you go, I'd love to know if you prefer painting birds more loose and expressive, or you like something a little bit more detailed. Just let me know in the comments. I really do read all of them. And if this tutorial helped you, please like the video and share it with a painting friend. It makes such a big difference and helps the channel reach more artists. And if you're getting into watercolor, I've linked my free watercolor guide for beginners below. It's a great place to build confidence without feeling overwhelmed. So thanks so much for spending time with me. And if you're looking for what to watch next, check out my 2026 watercolor prediction video where I share what I think we'll be painting more of for next year.